Hello and welcome to my stream. Um, so for about a month last year, year and a half ago, I was streaming about a presentation tool that I was writing in J. It's called JPrez, and there is a Godot plugin now for it that I've done kind of offline while nobody was looking. And I've used it to record some videos. So wait for this to open up. Take it back down. So the way it works is that I write my script in Emacs, which is a text editor, and I have a directory, or I have a repo called JTalks, and I'm sure this is very hard to read. Go. Good enough. And so I have, well, for example, the last thing I did was this, because it's per buffer. Huh. Okay, well, this has a bunch of WAV files in it, which you're going to see why that is in a second. Probably should have been in a subdirectory, but if I just search for the org file, then I get this file dealingcards.org, and this is the source code, the script, I call it a screenplay. The screenplay to my one of my last videos about dealing cards in J. So it starts out with this text. You want to deal some cards, and it installs interaction with the REPL. So that's what JPrez does. And JPrez allows you to go into a console and type things in the JREPL and record what you've done. So, for example, this line right here is actually a macro, and it literally just says this dot indicates that it's a macro. So the lines that start with a colon are special lines that are passed to the J interpreter, JREPL. And the ones that start with a colon and then a dot are these are lines that they actually go to the editor, to the text editor in the REPL, and they say how to type that line. So in this case, we're just straight out typing this line. But like right here, you can see the question mark kind of like starts the quote or whatever. And so this question mark ends that quote, and then we have an X. So I made a typo here. I deliberately put a typo in here where I start typing 1, 2, 3, and instead I realized, well, actually cards start with 2. So it just allows you to do things that are a little bit, gives you a little bit of realism when you're, when you, and a little bit of control over how exactly the keyboard interaction works or appears to work in the video, right? And so, for example, here you can this indicates going up a line. So it's saying go up a line and then go forward some. I believe B is backwards or forwards. I don't know, something like that, and then delete some characters and then go back to the end of the string. So yeah, so it actually loaded this line. And then it went back several spaces and then deleted all these characters. And then the result is this. And so this kind of is like a unit test. It's like if you did all these things in the REPL, all these commands, whatever they are, this is like a macro language for the editor, then you would wind up with this line. And that's kind of the I don't think it's actually tested, but like that's kind of the idea. But whatever this actually produces, it gets wiped out and replaced with this. So this is the typing animation, and then this is the actual input. And then the output is generated by J in real time. And so then the idea was that each one of these lines that don't have anything in front of it, don't have a colon or whatever. those are to be read, or if they have an @ sign, they are signals to the to this Godot plugin. So, and then I think this one is some combination of that. It's a signal to the JREPL to imagine itself clearing its screen, its internal screen. So you can jump around in here and do kinds of stuff. Anyway, so then this emacs org file is pretty simple. Org can do all kinds of crazy things, but I use it the way I use it. Basically, it's one slide per section, or one section per like chunk, so it's a flat list. It's not nested, even though it's an outliner. And then it's actually there's just one section for each little one heading for each little section I'm doing. Anyways, that's the file I'm dealing with, and that was my original code, and I made a video. I made I guess 3 videos with this, and I published 2 of them. And the first one was like a 1-minute short. The second one was about the Mandelbrot set, and it was terrible. And I found that just using this tool, I was really down in the weeds of the code, and it was just really unpleasant to listen to. Like when I went back and listened to what I created after I recorded reading the lines, I realized that I guess the narrative flow was just not that great, right? So I was very unhappy with the result of that, and I resolved to fix that. And the idea that I had was to I wanted to hear myself talking. I wanted to record the lines as I went, so that I could hear the flow of the presentation and not just write it and then read it. I wanted to be able to hear it as I was developing it, so that I would get a kind of a signal early on that this isn't flowing right, or this didn't sound right. So I did that, and then I came up with this dealing cards, and this was the one that I actually recorded. And it's, as far as I can tell, it's a pretty successful video. People tell me that it goes by really fast, but it's packed with information, and that's what I really like. I want that's kind of the feeling I'm going for. Like, really, I don't know, I might tone it down a little bit, but I like the flood of information coming at you, but you try and keep up or whatever. I don't know. I mean, that's really neither here nor there. I'm just saying, like, I was able to hear the way it sounded, and that made me happy. So the way I accomplished that, the idea was that I would go. I think I actually made a video about this, like either in the planning stages or like a long time ago. I just kind of did a dump of what I had, but I haven't really used it since. So I'm coming back to it and seeing kind of the flaws and just trying to get my head around what the code is. So this is a little bit of a code review with some refactoring in it. Yeah, let's see. So I have somebody listening in here. So Alazidra, hello, how are you? Yeah, so welcome. Okay, so this is the repo for all my talks. It's kind of disorganized right now. Right now, the way this actually works, I have this WIP work in progress directory, and then I would go to dealing cards. So it's whatever. And again, this probably should not have been should not have dumped all these files in here. But the idea is that that somewhere in here, somewhere there's like a hard coded place that says I want to open this particular org file. So org. I guess I put cards, right? Dealing cards, right? So when I open on that, you can see a bunch of things. Well, maybe you can't see them, but for example, I've got this little JPrez window down here. This is like, JPrez is a console application, and it's got widgets that are rectangular, and it's a J program that is kind of keeping track of some virtual screens, and it knows what all the characters are on those screens, and then whenever things change, it just writes out the ANSI or xterm escape codes to dump it to a console. Well, it turns out with Godot you can just hook into J. So I wrote a J to Rust bridge and then a J to Rust to Godot bridge. So in Rust I've connected the two, and so now I can actually just look in, and the widget that is in J's memory on the screen are now showing up in here. I don't really use this. This is actually not all that interesting to me. I don't really want to do the. I've discovered I don't really need like a full integration with JPrez in Godot. What I want is just the other part that I'm about to show you. So I saw this, I did this, and it was like, oh, that's cool, but I really want, first I thought what I wanted it to look like the Godot look and feel, because like I want to be able to click on things and like these little, as I said, these @signs. This is a section of the code. In fact, I think I don't think they're synced together, but I think if I click on that and then I hit next, nope. I'm not sure how to get back. Oh, maybe I just have to go all the way back up here. Okay, so I don't know what I had to do to cause this to show like a different section, but this is the init section, which is really not text, but it's just like some dummy stuff that I do to set up the Godot thing. So the idea was that this, being able to click on this, would you would actually be able to trigger animations as you're working in Godot here, and then you can preview those animations and whatnot. And so this is probably an important piece, but I've also got like this piece up here. I guess this, yeah. The idea is you can switch between all these sections just as you did in the console. You can also do it here, and then you can see those. So the outline lets you select a slide, and then the chunk list lets you see all the text in that slide along with the body of the code. And of course, when you click on a text, you can see the actual waveform. It's kind of interesting approach to that. But I didn't have I didn't make a setup where I could actually edit this. So in this interface, so this is kind of like version 2, and it was kind of like a temporary placeholder. I did factor out this waveform editor. This is something I made in Godot. And then it's just a plugin that all it does is provide this thing as a node, this little editor as a node, and it gives you a scene for allowing you to actually do the recording with the microphone. So I think I'm not gonna save it, but you can actually play it. This here is a string, but our deck is actually an array of symbols. And if you don't like that, well, you can delete it, or you can record it somehow. Isn't there just I thought there was a record button. Maybe just press space. Yeah, you hold down space and then you record it. You hold down space and then you can record. Nope. You hold down. Okay. Well, I actually don't know how to do it in this little interface. It's possible. I don't know. I'll have to look that up. Anyway, but you can record it in this thing. So let's see. So when you run this is the scene that you're looking at here. So when I run it, I get this, and this is the more complicated thing here. This is that same logic, but now it's presented here. And when you click on it, you get this, and so that looks good. So that looks good. Okay, so how do you record? Shift. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I got to look that up. I have no idea how to record. Obviously, I didn't put a lot of thought into usability of this interface, because no clue what button you have to press to make that record. There's some button. Insert maybe. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that looks good. Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. So yeah, reading my own brain, it's insert. Oh, I got new people. So hello, Drapsnad and Amalora. Nice to have you in here. Okay, so anyway, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna just jump into the code now. Oh, I guess one more thing to show is there's also a preview button, and that shows the scene with the same script here. But now you can press 11 again. You just have to know you press F11 and F12. You can show and hide these things, and then it allows you to, if you click play. So that's like some setup stuff I did, and then you do this and you hide your face, and then you just let the streaming software record this. So
Let's say you want to deal some cards. A standard deck has 4 suits: clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. Then there are 13 ranks: deuce through 10, jack, queen, king, and ace. We can use the catalog operator, that's the left curly brace here, to see every combination.
And you gotta wait for it to finish. Yeah. So once it starts a line, it won't finish. It won't stop until it finishes that line. And these are, it's actually a little weird. Since it's a completely flat list and you've got different kinds, it's got like 4 different cursors here, or I guess 3 different cursors. One showing you like what's playing now, and the brown one showing you like the next thing that's about to play. And the idea being that like at any particular time there can be an animation like this. This title animation is going to be playing, or commands to. So step right here, we'll do cause Godot to clear its screen. I'm sorry, JPrez to clear its screen, which that's the cursor down there. And then when I press step here, it's going to run this one, I believe. Yeah. So then that's triggering a Godot animation, and then the next one is going to trigger. So this is a clunky user interface, but the next one is going to trigger this the sound that says, let's say you want to deal some cards.
Let's say you want to deal some cards.
Okay. And so now the next J cursor is here, is on line 45, but it won't start until the audio for line 44 starts playing. So if I hit play, it's gonna, if I hit step, it does it one at a time, but if I hit play, it does it in chunks of up to 3 at a time. And it just kind of knows how they all fit together.
A standard deck has 4 suits: clubs, diamonds, hearts,
while
and
I'm
spades.
talking.
Then there are 13 ranks: deuce through 10,
The animation
jack, queen, king, and ace. We can use the catalog operator, that's the left curly brace here, to see every combination.
Okay, so that's JPrez. I expected that there'd be like a timeline, and I would actually have to do like offsets, like when this say this animation should start like several milliseconds, or this offset from the start of the audio. But I don't know, I found it was a little simpler to just allow any combination of those 3 things: an animation, a JPrez interaction, or an audio snippet, to just play all at once. And that seemed to work, and so that was simpler than messing with the offsets. I was worried, because it's a text file. This is all reading out of that one org file, which is plain text, and I was like, well, how do I cram another offset in here? And I actually thought, well, I might have to put, like, on every single line, put the offset of like timestamp or whatever, and I might do that at some point, but this seemed simpler and it worked, so I was very happy with that. And so for now, that's how it is. So there's this kind of implicit grouping of up to 3 things, up to 3 lines all at once, and then it just plays through, and it seems to work. Yeah, and so I just, at every part of these sections, I just manually chose to clear the screen in JPrez, and to trigger one of these animations. It's not required or whatever. And then the thought was, now, well, maybe some of this stuff could be done in Godot with the animation system. For example, I wrote hide the JP editor, so I wrote a special little handler for this word hide, a special little handler for this word show. So if I show the JP editor, that's this. This shows up in the very last scene. It's like I can show you. Yeah, it's the very last scene. Oh, okay, yeah. So there's one more thing you can do in the text, and that is you can put a slide. And what that does is the slide is a chunk of code that goes in the editor, and the editor is this little editor window. And so uh, um, so when it starts the scene, it knows to put that's the slide, that this is the slide that shows up on that scene. So when I go to the anagram scene, it's empty. When I go to the end, then that slide is showing in the editor. Okay, and so then whatever had been in the console here is going to be cleared away. The editor is going to go to move the cursor inside the editor. So editor go xy is a special magic command that I can send to the Godot command. It's not the JPrez does not know there's anything like a cursor in that screen. I guess the widget knows, but JPrez itself doesn't know anything about that. And so this is a Godot script that talks to the editor widget. And then so again, it says move JP editor, and that's going to actually move a node in. Well, it moved it up. It's kind of slid up when it came in here. And when I first moved to this page.
So that's dealing cards in J. If you enjoyed this, please do hit the like button and let YouTube know.
Like and subscribe. Okay. You have to say all that stuff. So there's this moving down. And then when we come back here to the end, we play it again, we step. Now it comes back up and it's got the text. So it slides up with the text already presented, but it doesn't just appear on the screen. There's some animation. Anyway, so that's it. So that's the idea. But these little animations, I kind of want to refresh my memory and go over how they all work in this code here. So anybody has questions or anything about anything I'm saying, please stop me. So I think one of the things I'm going to do is try and decouple this whole user interface from JPrez, because like you don't this could be easily used for any kind of voiceover situation in Godot, even for like making games or whatever, where you just have a bunch of for text you want to record and you want to hear it played out, even character dialogue or something in a video game. Godot is a game engine for those of you who are not familiar with it. Okay, so I'm going to make all this bigger. Well, let's see where I'm at. So done enough talking and getting my head warmed up about this. So I want to get rid of this, and what I want to, I guess, kind of one of my goals is to move this component into the Godot editor itself. And I want to put it up here. So I'm going to show you one other thing. This is just another thing I have, a little drawing tool I've been working on. And you can press the sketch button. Now this is not a scene, like this is not a scene you're editing. This is the idea is that you would actually be able to put a live running scene in your editor. Unfortunately, I stuck it in a viewport, and I don't know, I can't get the interaction to work right. The mouse interaction is all like blocked, like there's a clear pane of glass in front of everything. But the point is, you can put something up here, you can give it a name, and then you can cause that to work. So what I want to do is, as I'm going along here, I'm just kind of talking this up, but I'm trying to make a document. And so this is yet another thing that I'm doing. This is a text editor called Leo, literate editor with outlines. And I'm going to try and document this thing, this snippido there. Whenever I do stuff in Godot with, doesn't have a, and then I don't have a good name for it yet. I make up weird names that have like invalid English diphthong. I don't know if FN is a diphthong. But no. Anyway, so Fnarblix is the name of that drawing program that I was just showing. Fnarblix. Narmelix. Anyway, so this one would be Fnippido if I choose to do this. So my thought is I wanted to like talk about how this all works. Just because I mean I don't work on Godot that often, so if I come back in 6 months, I want to know how it works and not have to do all this again. And so I want to have this document. So the installing, so setting up the plugin, and the plugin is going to have, or it already has all these little components here. So, but I want to show the panels. Okay, so first of all, let's see. I believe it is called directory. In a second, so I'm very clean. You say clean. Wait, what? No, that's for an actual file. Okay, Bex. So Bex is another application I do. The path. Okay, so I say path d verb x. Path d verb, and the actual plugin right now is currently in the JPrez directory. Godot plugin add-on. I believe that's correct. cd verb j. JPrez, Godot plugin, Godot-plugin, add-ons. Yeah. Add-ons is a convention for Godot itself, where you put all the editor extensions. Okay. So, and then I guess JPrez, right? So then, yeah. So it depends on the waveform plugin, and it currently depends. Yeah. Well, and it depends on this JLang Rust Godot connection, and then it has some fonts in there. So I actually want JPrez. Actually, I'm probably gonna split it into two different things. So path. The reason I do this is because you have to do it in every project. So every time, any project that you want to use this in Godot, you have to have this directory. And what I do in practice is I have SVN repo for like the waveform directory. And actually, let's start. Sorry, SVN. I get repo. I'm surprised that waveform is a directory. I would expect it to be a symlink. So so here, so in the JTalks directory, I go into assets. You can't see that. And then I have different add-ons. Yeah. So now here I've got the waveform directory, and that actually goes to what does it say? Oh, Godot waveform. So the repository is TangentStorm Godot waveform on GitHub. And you can just download that and stick it in your Godot directory, and then you'll get that little waveform thing. And then I don't remember how to make a symlink, but I have a note somewhere telling me how to do that, and you can do that in Windows and make that work. Okay. So all that is to say, this now goes indented underneath that. And I'm just going to have path JPrez in here with the intent that I'm going to break this into two sections. One that is all about JPrez and one that is all about something, just anything that uses this exact same org mode for slideshows. And that way then I'll have a Godot project that just plays nice with JPrez, and then the JPrez plugin will only do the widgets. the text mode widgets on the screen. Okay, so I had this open because I wanted to see how to do the code for this. So I'm going to open this up in JPrez. And what I want to say is, okay, so, so I want to load this here. So if I say, so inside of JPrez, so the other convention is that you have this thing called plugin.gd, GD for GD script, Godot script, I guess, GD script. And the yeah, so and if it's called plugin and it's in that add-ons directory under under one of the plugins, so add-ons, this one is sketchlib, I call it, for the Fnarb thing, then it has a plugin .gd, and that gets run when that plugin is enabled. So you go to project settings, plugins, and then so I call this plugin sketchlib, and then you enable that and it runs this script, and then your editor sprouts this little sketch thing. So the way this is working, again, this is the drawing tool, which I hope to make part of the presentation. I want to be able to make like animated drawings. So I want to be able to draw in Godot, make some animations, and then kick them off from the presentation tool. So this is all kind of working together, but and I guess some of them would not be anything to do with J, right? They would just be presentations that are about anything. It could be some other language just about whatever. And so that's why I want to decouple all the components, so I don't have to include like all the JRust Godot bridge every time I do any kind of presentation, or people who could use it independently. So but I also want to add this tab at the top, and so I could look that up in the docs, but I have this scene. So so this is the Fnarb one, and then there should be a similar one for yeah. So there's a plugin.gd for the JPrez Godot plugin. Cool. And so that path is I guess that would be. I usually have a lot more room on my screen, but that is going to be res. I see, because it's filtering for cards. Res, add-ons, JPrez, and all the text comes down here. It has a bunch of stuff that has the support for parsing org files, and then the visual stuff on the screen plus some JPrez stuff. So it's not JPrez stuff needs to be separated out. Do I want to do it that way? Maybe I should just make a brand new plugin. I'm gonna call it OrgPrez rather than Fnifido or whatever. I'll call it OrgPrez. Okay, so path JPrez, and we'll make a path OrgPrez, and let's do project settings, plugins, create a plugin name, OrgPrez, subfolder OrgPrez, org mode, presentation tool, tool for recording. So this is going to be a Godot tool for recording presentations, for recording the voiceover. Is it the voiceover? No, it's not really presentations. For creating presentations based on from emacs org mode documents. Emacs org mode documents. author. Okay, that can be tangent storm, sure. Language GD script, and then yes, plugin.gd. I think that's the default. Oh, you have to type something. So plug GD, and it create it, and then OrgPrez plugin.gd, and it gives you this thing right here. Okay. JPrez Godot. Okay, so org mode presentation tool. Yeah, emacs work. Presentation tool for emacs work. For emacs or okay. Save that. And so now that should be here. Oh, but I created it in the I created it in the JTalks directory. Yeah, I don't remember how to make a symlink, but I want to move this, so move OrgPrez to the JPrez add-ons. No, Godot plugin add-ons. I'm going to keep everything in the repository that it's currently in until such time as I break it into its own repository when it's all cleanly factored. So now I need to look up again how to do the symlinks, and I think if I type this file, there we go. Launch PowerShell as administrator. Have to do okay. So PowerShell run as administrator. I can't. I have a PowerShell open, but it's not as an administrator, so plus I can't see it that way. All right, so let's see. All this. Oh, wow. Box. Addons. New item. Oh, come on. New item. Item type. Symbolic link. Path. OrgPrez. And target is B for Godot. Nope. JPrez. Godot plugin. Add-ons. OrgPrez. Okay, so now I have an OrgPress in JTalks, and I have an OrgPress in plugin. Yeah, so now I have add-ons OrgPrez, so ls add-ons OrgPrez. Keyboard wiggling. Okay. What does the config file do? Oh, so it's just like a little file that. Clerical Pop says, just joined. Is there some sort of Godot Emacs bridge RPC involved? Nope. Nope. I wrote a parser for org mode. And I will show that in a little bit. Basically, I have an outline object. Let's see. Org. I forget what outline does. Outline is. Oh, I think outline is the visual display of the thing. And then oh, it's probably this outline panel right here that just shows the headlines. So all it does is I just have a parser for this thing, and I just hand wrote a parser. Represent emacs org mode files as trees of objects. The JPrez file format is a subset of org syntax. And time span. Oh yeah, I had this whole thing. I was talking about this earlier. I had this whole thing for like having timestamps for like every line was going to have a timestamp on it or whatever. And I wrote the code for it, but I just found out I didn't actually need to do it. I think. Oh, maybe I'm still using the output when you play or something. Anyway, but yeah, so that's you look over here. Yeah, org parser. So I have this thing called org parser, and it has all these methods that kind of just get, you know, it's a pretty simple format. It just reads line by line. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks. Yeah. So it's pretty primitive. It doesn't parse all of org mode. It parses enough to handle my my thing. So I think basically it looks for begin source and end source, and then I'd also had the ability to like I was going to have it set up so that you could put one of these little audio. This is like a comment or a property in org mode, and you would be able to like associate a wave file with the individual line of text. But what I did instead, because it was so annoying to have to do that, what I wound up doing, and it worked well, was to make just a hash. So of the text itself has a hash. The text itself plus the line number together become the input to some hashing algorithm, and you get this you know nasty little hash code. And so then when you look at the wave files, it just has that like the first 4 digits of the you know the hex of the hash code, and then like the text of the line of code, the text of the line of that you want to speak without you know with all the special symbols and whatever stripped out. So like that line literally is, or we could put an extra character something. It starts with that, so it's like the first couple characters. Unfortunately, J doesn't have an easy way probably to make symbols or something like that, and so that's what all this junk is. And so if you go into the editor at runtime and you change one of these lines of text, which you can do here, this thing lets you do that. So if you save this now, you're gonna have like you're gonna lose the audio for that. So but it's cheap because it's one line. So you edit it in here. In fact, I think if I do this and if I say update, this is all under version control, so I can do that. You'll see it. It also. Why didn't it do anything? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I have a little bit of something going wrong there, but I was also expecting this to turn. To turn like gray or something. Why didn't this turn gray? Did it make that file? That's weird. So revert. Why didn't? Hey now, why didn't this turn gray? I might have a bug here. I'm expecting that to turn gray, and so to indicate that I haven't recorded it yet. Yeah. Oh, so it turns orange, right? All right, so I guess somehow it just created that wave file. But yeah, so that's probably a bug. But what's meant to happen here? I wonder if I added that. I think maybe it it's meant to like rename the file. So maybe if I take out the hey now, and maybe what the bug is that the file name changed. It renamed the file, and then it didn't show the updated content. Oh yeah, so I play this.
Let's say you want to deal some cards.
Okay, so now yeah, so if there's just a typo in there, then it'll update the hash, actually delete the old file, rename the file, because I forgot that it did that. So then this would have said, let's say you want to deal some cards. Let's say you want to deal some cards. And by the way, this video is up on YouTube. The actual dealing cards in J. It's on my YouTube channel. GitHub YouTube / @TangentStorm. C TangentStorm. I'm TangentStorm on there. Let's say you want to deal some cards. Update. So I click update. Oh, so now it works.
Let's say you want to deal some cards.
I think Godot has a cache too, and so part of the problem is that I'm always running into the cache whenever I do something like that. Yeah, and I get issues like this, which I haven't. I probably just haven't done well enough. Okay, but enough. This is all saying like other things have loaded this. It's already in the cache, and you're trying to re-import a file that you're editing, like the .org files gets imported into org mode, and then it creates like a little .import file that tells it meta information about the thing, and it runs into these issues. So maybe moving that into the, to get this running right now, I have to press this play button. And what I'm hoping is that what I can do is have this in this tab here, and then I'll be doing it inside of the editor, and I'll have all the editor will be aware that things are changing. So we'll see. All right. So okay. So all of that nonsense was to create this file, so OrgPrez. And so now if I say file in Leo here, I can say import any file. I'm in JPrez, Addons, OrgPrez, and I want to import, I guess, both of these. If it'll let me, I'm going to import both of them. I'm going to say open. Yeah, okay. And so I don't know why it does this imported files thing, but you can do. So I'm pressing Shift right to move this in here. Shift left, delete that node, delete this node, and then F2, no, E, no. How do you edit this? Double click works. So clean is a command that you'll see what it does in a second. So this path is already inside of Verb, JPrez, Godot plugins, add-ons, and then underneath that I have OrgPrez. So I can delete that, and then oops, come here. And also the same thing here, clean plugin.cfg. That's interesting. It knows what a config file is. That. I'm not going to save it yet. And then I'm going to go into here. So I want to add the add-ons OrgPrez. And I'll say git commit create empty OrgPrez plugin. Okay, and I'll push that up to GitHub. All right, so that's TangentStorm JPrez on GitHub if you want. And it might be in the main branch. Yeah, main. Okay, which is the default branch. Okay, so now if I save this, I've edited this file. If I save this file, it should I don't see it saving the thing down here, but version, I'll call it 0.1, and we'll save that. S2L. Yeah, so now it says wrote plugin CFG. But I also removed yeah, so now it's modified. See, I'm going to add into the add-ons directory, git this OrgPrez. Yeah, so it removed the, okay, so yeah, when I saved that, it finally realized it needed to update the file, and so it updated the this new line and added a version. Okay, so and the point is that I'm doing that from this outlining tool. Okay. In fact, what we could even do, you can organize this in different ways. So I might change this to say WordPress plugin. The idea is what I like to do in Leo. It's a literate programming tool, and it's really nice because it allows you to. It basically keeps a copy of all the text in your application. And so inside its own file, and then when you save it, it syncs that up with and does like diffs and whatnot with the actual text in your code base, and so you get literate programming without having to mark up your code everywhere. That's what clean does. And so if I call this OrgPrez, now I don't have to. I can give it a nice title, and then setting up the plugin. I can copy this, and I can paste it as a clone here. Paste this node as clone. And so then inside my outline here, I've got like the actual code, like all the files and all the, with their full text. But I can also organize it narratively. So I can say setting up the plugin. All right. So now I want to say, I mean, eventually this is going to be like an essay, right? Like a literate program that says, here's how you do this. So okay, so I set up a plugin. That's the config. And then so now I want to say creating a new tab in Godot, a new top level tab in Godot. And so now that's inside this GD file, and we can see what it does over here. So let's see, where's the drawing one? All right, so I'm going to copy this code from the drawing one to the Godot one, and I'll just do it this way first. In the Godot editor. So I go to the script tab, zoom in here, and I'm going to go to the JPrez plugin. I'm going to go to the OrgPrez plugin, and I'm going to say that I want to load. Oops. Copy this. Addons OrgPrez plugin. TC. I don't know what TSCN stands for, but it's a scene. Cannot open file. Okay, that's because I don't have a scene. So now a new scene. And you go to 2D. And I'll just put, let's make a node here. So I created, it's going to be a user interface. So I can put a control. I'll just put a text control in here. Oh, that's not text, that's not how you do it. You say change type. And we can put that as like label, sure. And well, the label will be OrgPrez scene. And can I make it giant? Fonts. Can do that, but I'll just scale it. Scale. That's not how you scale. I guess that is how you scale. Why did it flip backwards? Scale 50. Set to its original size. So that's ugly as heck. Godot uses bitmap font, so it'll take a true type font and generate a bitmap font from it. So you have to tell it you want a font at this particular size, this particular font at this particular size, or you're going to get ugly code. But the benefit is that at runtime it's going to be. Anyways, I'm going to save this as Addons OrgPrez plugin. Let's see. Okay, so now if I've done that right, then when I go to project settings, plugins, and I say OrgPrez, I should be able to say oh yeah, well nothing's gonna happen yet, but enable and disable it, re-enable it, close. And now go back to the script. Oh, can't reload. Why not? OrgPrez plus. Can't preload resource at path. Addons OrgPrez plugin.c. Addons OrgPrez plugin CSCN. So I'm also using an old version of Godot, and I wonder if this is just I remember having issues with that when I was working on this, and the reason I'm doing that is because I compile the last time I compiled the J integration, it was against this version 3.3 table, and when I load 3.5, I have to I'm gonna have to recompile it, and I just didn't want to bother with that. I'm just going back to what I did months ago with. So edit this. Wait for it to not take up the whole screen, and come down here. Unable to load on. Disabling the add-on. Why? Res add-ons. Oh, OrgPrez is my problem. Okay. Well, that'll do it. How about OrgPrez? There we go. Now it works. Okay. So I don't need to quit, but I'm going to do it. Just I know that works. That was a waste of time. Click to edit. Do the scan. All right, now it opened. Okay. It's also probably a good idea to have an extra editor to edit the plugins when you're doing plugins, because if you screw things up, you can't get back into your project. But hopefully we won't have that problem. Okay, so now I wanted to Right, I'm waiting for this tab to appear, but of course it isn't going to appear yet. So zoom, and let's get the OrgPrez plugin, and I'm going to go back to the other plugin and see. Okay, so I load the plugin, call that scene, and then when we enter tree, we're going to make an instance of that tree, or instance of that of the plugin scene. So scene instance. We don't need this. Set input event forwarding always enabled. I think that was something I was doing to try and get the drawing tool mouse events to work. There was I don't know. I built it as a standalone thing, and it wound up the mouse was like offset. The clicks were offset, and I went down a rabbit hole and I never figured it out. Right, so this is what we want. App. And make visible false. Why would you make it false? Okay, well, as main screen, return true. So this is all the stuff you need to do in Godot to make visible. Oh, I see. Make visible. It's something I added. Make visible. I don't know why I did that. And then the plugin name. So all this stuff is stuff you have to do. So member variable holding instance of scene. All this stuff is stuff you have to do to get this to show up here. So let's see. And then get a plugin. So I also saw something in the, I'll do this in here. This is, so something about icons. Editor icons previewer. Let's download this plugin. Call it. I think you had editor. Project tools. Oh, come on. Editor icons preview. This plugin adds a preview. Go to project tools, show editor icons. Project tools. Come here. Project tools. Settings. Oh, so okay, you gotta enable it. We enable it. Close. Project tools, show editor icon. All right, so now I can pick one of these icons to be my my icon for this this thing. So it's a presentation tool, right? So maybe a microphone. Like that's what I'm going to be doing. So maybe micro. They have a microphone. Okay, makes the preview bigger, huh? No microphone. What about record? Oh, we just skim through this. That's possible. That's an animation tool, though. That's an animation icon. Record. How about record button? Not exactly what I had. I think you can just make your own icon. But there's a speaker icon. So listen, a phone. It's a light. Yeah, I think that I'm gonna pick the one I just thought. Okay, so what was it? Oh, I forgot. Something about record, right? Rec. It literally said REC on it, right? Rec. Auto key. Oh, that's the button they use when they record. When you turn that on to uh, when you move something, it'll automatically add some record what you did to as a keyframe in the timeline. So okay, so that is copied to the keyboard, and then get editor interface, get icon. Let's see what we get. What we get here. Auto key. Get icon. Here's an icon from assigned theme with given name and associated with control of given node type. And associated with control of given node type. Well, how do I know what the node type is? I don't know. Okay, well, we'll figure it out. Anyway, so okay, so that's a script. How do I go back? Just go here. I don't know if that'll work. And it's not Sketch, but this is WordPress. I don't know that's a better name than Nibido or whatever I was saying. All right, so let's project settings, plugins, enable this. And there it is. OrgPrez, and where's the OrgPrez scene? It's a little weird that like even the asset lib and the scripts and all, they all have these tabs. But those are for the different scenes that you're looking at. Which I guess could be okay because you want I don't know, I'm kind of picturing this as being independent of a scene because you really it's really about the like the top level scene of your application or something. I don't know. I don't know if it's whatever, but that didn't work. So so how would I get this icon? So editor icons. So how do I get access to the editor icons in Godot? We look on Google for that. Godot editor icons. You really want to use this tool. In some cases, the control might not have a theme. Oh, maybe this is the docs for that thing I was just looking. Get icon, add editor icons. Oh, editor icons. Okay, so editor icons is what I'm looking for. Is the name of the thing. So script, and they're in the wrong order. Editor icons, auto key, editor icons. Get rid of the comma, and I think that should work. So now if I say project settings, enable, disable, or disable, enable. Yeah, okay, now we got OrgPrez. Okay. That's interesting. 2 copies of the scene. Oh, probably because I didn't. That actually is correct. Because when you unload the thing, you're supposed to clean up after yourself. And I did not. So in this one, on exit tree, if app queued. So this is actually unrecoverable without, because I've lost the original reference to app. Right. Used in top level tabbing. Okay. So I'm going to actually quit to the project list and come back. And it talks. All this sim linking stuff is a little confusing, but I really do try to keep it so you can just download the piece that you want. OrgPrez, press scene. Okay. And just, I'm going to test that again, even though it's completely not important. I'm just going to say plugins. I'm going to disable it, re-enable it, and then go back to the scene. And it should, yeah, only 1 copy. Okay, so it cleaned up after itself. How long have I been filming this? Okay, so I feel like this is running on like an hour and a half now, but I'm going to keep going for a little. It is 11:30 my time, and I'm probably going to go to bed around midnight here. Okay, so git status, where are we at? Git to WordPress. And I'm going to say git. So OrgPrez, add new tab, or add what was it called? A full screen tab? Add main screen. Add main screen tab. Okay. And then I wanted in this file here. File, import files, file. I don't really need the scene file is like in Godot are just like, I mean, it just remembers what all the nodes are in the tree. So I'm probably not going to be editing that by hand. So I'm not gonna include that in. It doesn't hurt anything other than just the one downside of this is that it does keep a separate copy of everything, but I might keep this in like in a separate Git branch or something. Or whatever, I don't know. Okay, so creating a top. Anyway, the point of all this now is that I should be able to go into the plugin. And you should be able to refresh from disk. That has all this stuff. A GD script. Interesting. Oh yeah, so it knows it. Okay, I like a year ago, or maybe I emailed the author of this and of Leo on the mailing list, and I made a suggestion that if it uses pigments for syntax highlighting, and previously you had to register, you had to tell Leo about the name, and I pointed out that, like, you know, you could just look at the list of names of languages and pigments, and if if a plugin for pigments exists, it ought to just work. So people are adding pigments. Pigments is like a Python syntax highlighting thing, and I think it just has like a zillion different syntax highlighters. So if anyone in the world created the Godot GD script thing, so you just tell it it's GD script and it knows how to syntax highlight it. It knows that func is a keyword and so on. That's nice. Okay, so so now you can say you can break this into pieces, and really, I know that this is going to grow and grow and grow, and so one of the things I'm trying to do is isolate the pieces that are you know, what am I trying to say? Isolate the pieces that are specific to each task, rather than waiting for them to all get mixed up. And so, like creating the new top level tab in Godot. Well, all this stuff is in there. Well, and you say, is it others or children? I shouldn't be looking at this file. Others. Okay. This is from my work, but you can use this to inspect code and like learn how it works. Others is what you do. And what that does is you say others here, and then any code that is beneath this in the tree here, in other nodes in the outline. So app and scene, and put that there. Surprised it doesn't remember. I don't know. So we can break this into basically chunks, right, for each different thing. Oh yeah, so it does remember it's a GD script. So just the fact that this up here that calls it a GD script, it knows that it's a GD. All right, so has main screen, get plugin name, get plugin icon. All those things can be in, so call that a section, call like tab label at top. Now post those there. And then so this is going to have two things. One is create the scene, and then clean up scene if plugin is uninstalled. So this is a lot of work, but I'm copying and pasting to the wrong place. Normally we would just start with an outline and do this. Inner tree. Oh, so right, so enter tree. And then I want exit tree. Is that called exit tree? Yeah, exit tree and enter tree. And the idea is that in these, inside enter tree and exit tree, we can say others again. And you'll see what the point of all this is in a second. So enter tree, create the scene in enter tree. And I'm gonna actually go ahead and say in enter tree, right? Like in plugins enter. I don't know what the keyboard shortcut is for that. Enter tree. Yeah, scene if plugin is uninstalled. And I'm gonna duplicate the name here. Okay, so now enter tree. Exit tree. And I know I'm breaking down line by line, and it's kind of silly, right? But this is kind of an experiment. I don't know why I'm doing this, right? I wanted to create a document that Well, I guess, yeah, I guess that's why it is. I want to create a document that that shows exactly like a text, like an HTML document that kind of like corresponds to the, you know, that summarizes this whole adventure, right? How I made this thing. And so I want like basically I want somebody coming to this project in the future, or me, you know, 6 months from now, to have a little document that says like the 500 core lines of this, and it's just a little document you can read that says here's how the core of this idea works, and then you can figure out where everything else goes once the basic layout of the application is built in your head. I found this. I think there's a book called The Architecture of Open Source Applications, and it's got yeah, it's this thing. 500 lines or less is one of the books, and it's just a bunch of like people that are making very small things. Like Audrey Tang wrote a little spreadsheet one. She's a famous Perl developer. I've known her for a long time, and or not know her, but I know who she is for a long time. And you know, she made a little spreadsheet in 500, actually 99 lines of code on the web, and you know, gave some suggestions for what you could do with the other 500 lines of code, 401 lines of code. But anyway, I thought this was a cool idea for like an intro to your project or whatever. So that's why I'm going through the pain of doing this. Distilling the Core of the Idea was a very nice book. Yeah. I haven't actually read them. It's been on my to read list forever, and I happened to go back and see the 500 lines one. I was inspired. So that was impressive to me. Okay, so now here's my document, right? So here's that document for this thing. So what we do is you take these nodes, and we say copy node, and then paste node as clone. And I'm not going to like try and make an actual, like I'm not going to write right here, but tab label at top, copy node, paste node as clone. And so you have these clones, and you can put the same code in multiple places. Hey, race time is called Leo, literate literate editor with outlines. It's really cool. LeoEditor.com. I am not an expert in it. It's got like a whole Python interpreter. You can do all kinds of things with it. I just use it to, like, you can put your own little buttons up here. I use it to like inspect code, and as I said, I'm trying to make, you know, to make some code that will to make a document that will describe how to build the core ideas of this plugin for that. Okay, so app and scene variables, tab label at top. Let's actually place the tab label at top. And now you see why I put it inside of enter tree, right? Because I'm not going to copy the enter tree node. I'm just gonna paste that there. And again, this is completely stupid. I mean, you know, paste node is clone. All right, so now you would see this headline or whatever, and you can put whatever text you want over there. I think it's like doc, blah blah blah. This is prose. Nope, it's not doc. Is it? And it just, because you say code, right? I think this is a bug. I think it's doc. Oh, yeah, I'll show you the Leo site, because I'll look up the right way to do this. LeoEditor.com. I've used Leo for many years, but I don't use it often. And I don't often put the code in, right? Sometimes I just use the text documentation. So this document right here, the Mulder-Ream update method, this is a work of genius right here. The update algorithm, because it was what allows it to do literate programming without the sigils everywhere. Basically, you can, other people can be editing this thing without using Leo. You're not forcing them to be literate programmers. and your project is completely as if there was no literate programming involved, except for this one file that has your like yes, the downside is it duplicates like every line of code that you touch, but in this one file. But you have this thing now that you can use as like to pull things from your source code repo, and it will sync, and it can figure out that somebody else has modified the code, or that you've modified, there's a collision or whatever, and it just does the right thing. So yeah, it's really smart. Because for a long time, for like years, you had to mark up if you use Leo, it would like put all this junk in your code. Anyway, what am I doing? What did I come here for? Let's figure out what doc was, because I think this is wrong, right? Directives. File, clean, edit, file, all other syntax, color, grade changes, directives. Doc, yeah. As far as the doc part, doc is a synonym for at. Yeah, so it's at and C, so doc and code, and so that should not be highlighting the word is. All right, well, whatever. That's a bug. Okay, but yeah, so, and because they're clones, they know that whatever context they originally were, it knows that it's code. Okay. Right, and just to demonstrate this thing. So now if I say like, OrgPrez rules, I'm not going to keep that, but I saved that and it updated all the files. And if I say git status, git diff OrgPrez, you can see that it did this. And sometimes it does, yeah, like it rearranged the code. That doesn't matter. But it's because I rearranged the code. So enter tree like should have come first, right? I save that. You can do this, yeah. So oh, and it's also having tab issues. And so I think you have to say like tab size. Tab. Depending on the value of the tab width directive. So tab width. Negative tab widths will cause Leo to convert tabs to spaces. So if I say tab width 8, and I think I can probably just put it right up here, right? Tab width 8. So then that affects everything beneath it. First of all, I put this in the wrong place. But now, why is it indenting like that? Indent. Oh, okay, so you put, okay, so interesting. Func enter tree others. That's what you do. You actually put the indentation. When we make it a tab. There we go. Okay, so yeah, so I don't like tabs being 4 spaces, but okay, so whenever you use others, you put a tab there, and then it does the right thing. Both editors that I'm using are replacing it. All right, so OrgPrez rules, and then let's just app and scene variables. Place the label at the top. And I do this, and now It deleted one line right before exit tree. So if I put one line here, does it fix it? Yes, it does. Okay, so now I save it, and like, yeah, you can't even tell that that Leo has come in here and like, you know, modified the code, which obviously doesn't matter because this is my repository. But like, you know, when I use it at work, for example, then that's you know, you don't want it to screw up hundreds of lines of code or something like that because it indents it wrong or puts it in the wrong place or whatever. So yeah, okay, so now we have like another little view of the code. So I always try to put like the entire thing at the bottom here. So you have like a reference where you can see like everything in your system, in your code base, or everything relevant to whatever your document's about. I'm gonna call this OrgPrez now, I guess. OrgPrez instead of Nipido. Okay, so that's like step one. So I don't need this. Okay. Now, second thing, instead of this OrgPress scene, this works a whole lot better when I have my full screen. I'm on like one little tiny corner of it. OrgPress scene. Wait, hang on. Why is that there? Why does it say OrgPress scene here? Oh, interesting. Okay, so that explains it. So there's one more step you have to do, and I saw it and I didn't know what it was for. All right, so this is where we say the app is visible is false. So make visible. I guess you can add like stuff to. You can add things that show up even in, like, you see this scene is showing up in every tab. You can add things to these tabs, which is interesting. Okay. Project settings. I disable that. I cleaned up after myself, so it goes away in all these places. And so what I need to do is this line right here from in the script tab here. I need to say if app visible equals false. That's the only place I'm calling make visible. So in JPrez, in the WordPress plugin, through has main screen, this, and you do it in where did I call it? Wait, what? Enter tree, make visible false. Okay, so in enter tree, well, let's do it here. In enter tree, and then we'll add this line if app well, it is something, app.visible equals false. Save it. And now that should add one line. Yes, and then when I open and close it in OrgPress, I mean in this, in project settings, re-enable it. but it didn't show again. So now it's not visible, but it's not. So where else am I calling make visible? Oh, maybe make visible as part of the API, Godot API. Is it? Let's see. Yes. Okay. So it's part of the editor. You have to add that to here as well. Func make visible x if app dot visible equals x equals x. Called when the tab is clicked. And we'll call this startup. And when the tab is changed. And we'll say make visible. Otherwise, it shows up on screen no matter what tab is pressed. What tab is pressed is active. Okay, so enable, disable, and feel like that should have worked. I don't know what the update button is. I'm going to quit the project list and see if it works. OrgPrez, okay, yeah. And when I click here, it does not appear. Okay. So, see, now I have a little document that says everything I need to know to make a plugin. Which I'm sure I could have read from. I did read plugin, you know, but it wasn't like a tutorial or a recipe. I did read the docs. Or maybe it was, I don't know. All right, so move that. It's down here that actually controls the. I guess you have to put an extra line at the bottom. Oh, I guess I want to put an extra line at the bottom. Otherwise, Leo won't. Okay, so git commit fix display. So OrgPrez fix display of the main scene. Okay. So now the main scene should not just be that, but what I want is to go to here and say, I want to put this thing in here. So this is a JPrez audio tab. I had already made it its own little scene, own little component. So I'm going to copy this. I don't think I have to copy it. I think what I do is I say, I think if I just grab this scene, like this should be its own little file somewhere. JPrez audio tab, yeah, it's scene. All right, so I go to, first of all, I go to plugin scene. OrgPrez plugin. Instead of this, I'm going to make a container. Right, right, so that's a label. We're going to change the type to a container. I don't think it matters what container I use. It can just be a control, actually. I think actually, I think I can just. All right, well, I'm gonna make it a control, and I'm just trying to think how this works here. So control, and you want it to set the anchor left, right. Does the scene itself have a size? I thought if you did this, then you get that beeping sound is the video telling me that file has changed underneath it. I'm gonna check. I'm not sure why the scene for this. Right. Okay. I'm confused. Oh, because I was scaling it. 0, 0. But when you set the thing to 1, it should do a. When you set this to 1, zoom out. Well, what? Oh. Yeah. Oh, I just have it zoomed in super. Oh. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. So it'll be full size. They make it like 100%. Okay. Yeah, I just zoomed out. Got it. Okay. Probably because I made it super big. Oh, I didn't. Now that I think about it, I don't know why the text there wasn't that huge. Anyway, does not matter in the slightest. What was the last thing I was typing? JPrez, an audio tab. So it really is not a JPrez audio tab anymore. It's going to be an OrgPrez audio tab. Oops. But now we can just drag that in here. There we go. And we should. I wonder if I can just make this the parent node. Move up. Make scene root. Instant scenes can't become root. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, so the answer is no. So now this one has 0011, and we make this one have 0011. Does it have a hint that is causing it to not be? No, size flags. And right. Why is it not? Fill up that space. If control. Maybe I need to make this a parent change. Yeah, but see, then you have to tell it how to. Yeah, it says use it. Otherwise, you have to tell it how to lay out the children. I might be just confused here. I'm expecting this to be full size. Let's just save it and see what happens. I would really expect this to be full size. Oh, I see. It might have its own like inside of JPrez audio tab. The scene itself might have some alignment issues. So right one. This one, is that the full size of the? I'm not sure why the scene is. This appears to be the full size of the scene, but then when I go to here, it's not the full size of the scene. The scene, this line here is outside, and the control is. Oh wait. Scene. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. All right. So now if I project settings, plugin, disable, enable, close. Now I should see the whole thing. Okay. That's interesting. Oh, I know what this is too. So what's happening there is that it resizes itself based on whether or not the text needs to display down here, or the waveform needs to display. I think maybe. So now it's like if this is empty, what am I seeing here? This is the. I'm gonna play this and see what's in it. I don't remember what this black area is for. Oh, I do know. I do remember what this is for. It shows the plugin. I don't think the plugin is it working. It was for testing the macro code. So okay, hang on a second. In theory, what this is meant to do is you put the cursor on a particular spot and it plays the macro up to that point. And you can debug the macro that way. That's a JPress feature, but I think that yeah, it doesn't see JLang, so it can't do this. That's interesting. Okay, I'll have to think about that because like this ought to be usable for people who aren't writing J, and so we don't want, you know, it ought to be usable for me writing like if I want to do a tutorial on Python or something, anything that has a REPL, you ought to be able to use it. So okay, so I'll add that to my list of things to look at. I'm probably going to wrap this up. It's 12 o'clock here. REPL. Macro debugger in. Could probably be removed. OrgPrez. I don't know if that made any sense at all because it didn't actually show up on the screen, but the idea is that you can, that as you're typing things down here, if you happen to be typing one of these lines, actually, I guess it's, so this is a macro. This makes it a code line, this makes it a macro, and then it says insert some code, and then you say hello world. Then that should be a macro that types out hello world in this console here. And then as you move the cursor around in this thing, it ought to sync up with this and show you just that part of it. But I think I'm going to take that feature out because that's what JPrez does. And I'm seeing now a world where I have like separate tools where I have like emacs for editing this as prose, and I have JPrez for editing that same file and doing the interactions in the console, and possibly someday that'll be extended to other languages besides J, and then the Godot part will just be for audio, at least the OrgPrez part. And I don't know, do I really need an integrated tool where I don't know. If so, then there should be a JPrez tab up here. So OrgPrez is for everybody, and then JPrez is for like me, the one person in the world who's going to use this, unless somebody else starts making videos about J using this tool, right? So, so one of my to-do items is to just completely decouple OrgPrez and JPrez, and so the audio recording stuff should be just completely, and the previewing stuff should be completely separate. And you ought to be able to kick off Godot animations in your scene and switch between. I'm gonna have like a deck concept where you have like a list of scenes, and you'll be able to switch between those different scenes and then kick off animations within those scenes, all from the org file. And then that'll work for any kind of presentation that you would want to do with Godot. And then for the tiny fragment of the audience that actually would want to make, presentations about J, then there would just be this. Then they would also have to include the JPrez plugin. The OrgPrez would include the waveform plugin, and then I guess JPrez includes OrgPrez plus the other thing. I don't know. Anyway, this was a whole lot of work. I'm going to go ahead and check this. I'm going to call this OrgPrez. So let's save this Leo file as OrgPrez. Yes to all. File save as. We're going to call it, instead of OrgPrez, we're going to call it just OrgPrez.leo. All right. And I guess since we're doing that in that directory, probably make it. All right, let's see what gets. I gotta clean up all these other files. All right, so the commits are git plugin cd. If app. Hang on. I call this tab with 4, right? Tab with 4 is what we want it to be. And that's why that happened. Right, so GD OrgPrez, I would say GD plugin.gd. If app visible. completely I don't need this anymore. Extracted everything I need from there. So if I refresh this from disk, this should all still stay the same. All those nodes stay the same, and they're all in the right place. And if I save it now, oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna just call it fixed white space. That's stupid. I don't like commits like that, but git diff plugin.seam. Okay, so OrgPrez, show the audio editor tab. Status. WordPress.leo, and then also now, because this is in the OrgPrez directory, this file is going to be specific to OrgPrez. So I guess maybe tomorrow I'll erase this, and I'm thinking that I can remove. I'm trying to, if this is going to be only OrgPrez and no JPrez stuff in this file, then I don't need this path, and it can just be relative to the file because I saved it in the OrgPrez directory, so I can just call it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that. So I don't know how to edit this file. I don't remember what the command is to edit this file. OrgPrez file. OrgPrez source code. Okay, so all the source code is going to be under here, and it's all relative. So Shift Enter, no. Edit headline. Edit Control H. That's weird. Weird shortcut. Right, so I think I can remove the path here now, and since everything is in this one directory, well, git plugin cg didn't round trip right. Now, why didn't it do that? I lost the tab width, didn't I? Tab width 8. No, it's not Mark. Ah! Why did that happen? I don't get that. Something got converted to spaces when it. Yeah, so now it's fixed. Exit tree. That's a tab. I hit a tab. I'm confused there. That doesn't matter. Usually this kind of goes away once you've got everything synced up and you get into workflow. Okay, so git plugin tsn. Didn't I check that in? Git log. Show what I actually check. I want to get rid of this. I don't need this plugin here. I don't think I. See, it still has the old code in there. I should refresh that from disk, but how did I screw that up? I didn't refresh it after I changed the path, and so okay. All right, so git status, git checkout plugin.tsn. So now this should update. Yes, and so now it shows the real thing. Okay, so now that's the actual code. I saved. Okay, so that was my mistake. Moving files around like this is probably not safe. All right, so I can git diff orgprez.leo. There's no diff because I git add, git commit, WordPress add leo file. Status rm. So JPrez. I'll just do I need a code workspace? That's for VS Code. Cat JPrez code workspace. Yeah, I can just delete. Prez code workspace. There's nothing in there special. Cat git ignore. Waveform and import. And git ignore. Git commit. Git ignore. Send link and import. Import is something that Godot does, and waveform directory is the other plugin that I made that does the actual audio stuff. And I believe the README at the top level, or in the Godot plugin, sorry. Godot plugin. Addons. JPrez. Okay, so I don't have a README that says how to do that. Maybe I do. In this top level, I don't think the top level README has any kind of notes about Godot stuff. I should probably do that. So do that later. I'll add a note about that. Add and rather README to the Godot stuff. Okay. Yeah. So that was like 20 minutes after I said I'm done. So I think I'm done. I just want to make one final round project, put the project list. I'll see this tomorrow if it doesn't work, but I just want to make sure everything still works when I just open a file, open the directory. It does. I have OrgPrez here. Doesn't look like much because there's no text. Oh, and that's interesting too. It's kind of like behind the, like no clipping. Like there's a minimum height or something. Yeah, interesting. Well, once I get rid of that black area, that should be okay. I mean, it might make sense to be able to put other things in here. So I'll have to think about that, like what to do with this like preview area for the text, because you might want to preview all kinds of things in here. But I mean, they're also the preview of actually just running the code, and you'll still be able to do the stepper here. So I want that to, you know, to also work. It's a little weird because like Godot has this notion of scenes, and you're always editing a scene, and the tabs always correspond to scene. But as soon as you enter OrgPrez, you have this org file, which is a container for many scenes, or rather, it's a, you know, it might make reference to many scenes and script a bunch of scenes together. So I'm thinking I want like two tabs, one for the voiceover and one for the preview that would be interactive, just like I have the preview in the original code down here. So for now, you still have to run it. You still have to run it like this and actually get the, I want all this to be in there. All right, we'll see. We'll see what all that's about. Okay, so I don't know if this is of any value to anybody, but I guess I'm done. I'm probably not even going to edit this. I'm going to try just, it's okay. It says it's been uploading for 2 hours now, or been recording for 2 hours. I'm probably just going to upload this raw to YouTube and see how that goes. My last video had, it had, you know, I run it through this program that cuts out all the pauses and stuff, but it cut out all the music, and the music, you know, I was making it play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and it cut out all the music. So I don't know, maybe I should just, I don't know, what do you think? Should I for those of you who have an interest in watching this, do you want a 2-hour video, or do you want me to cut this down to a 1-hour video, but there'll be a bunch of little jumps and snips and jump cuts because every time I trail off in the middle of a sentence and pause for 30 seconds or whatever, it just disappears. I've always felt that I'm like wasting my viewers' time if I do that, but some people wanted that, and I put all this on a second channel where I'm not worrying about editing all that much. So it's up to you. It's I mean, this is not, I'm not planning to monetize the channel, you know, or, you know, it doesn't have to be my best work. So it's really up to the people watching whether I you know, I go through the trouble of editing it or not. You tell me. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to keep working on this. This is my main project. I would still like to do some of the Decker stuff if I have time. Maybe next week. I don't know if I will or not. I'm going to have my kids with me all week, and it might be a little hectic around here with Christmas. So I don't know. Okay. But I will. But I do plan to keep working on this, because this is going to enable me to work on videos in like the scripted videos on my main channel. So I will keep working on this. For those of you on Twitch who have been watching, let's see if there's anyone still in here. Oh, got a lot of people in here. So thank you everyone for coming out. I hope this was of some interest, and I'm on. I have a very random schedule on Twitch. I show up when I show up, so you can subscribe to me on here, and it'll tell you when I show up. So thanks so much, and I will hopefully see you guys again soon. I'm out.